This is a short tutorial on how to find the maximum number in a list of numbers. Now, in the previous challenge, we did a search for a specific number. Now what I want to do is I want to find the largest number in a list of numbers. So what Codio is going to do, it's going to pass in a list of numbers, and your job is to find the largest number and output its index, not the value. So we need to use a utility variable to store the maximum value in, and you need to see if each number is bigger than the current maximum number. So let's take a look at what Codio has given us. Okay, Codio has given us a variable called numbers. That numbers is taking in output, or taking in a string from the outside from Codio, and that string is a comma separated list of something. Well, we believe it's a comma separated list of numbers because that's what Codio has told us. Now here we see a little bit different notation, and this is kind of interesting notation. If you look at the previous challenge, when we wanted to convert our list of string to numbers, we had 4 lines of code. 1, 2, actually 3 lines of code. Here we're doing that same thing. Everything we did, sorry about going back and forth, everything we did here from line 8 to line 11 is being done in a single line here. Okay? And what this does is it says int I for I in numbers. So it does a for I in numbers, which is saying going through the list. And in this case, because I have put it into the brackets that says this is a list, it can return me an I, and that I will turn into an int. So it's a single line way of doing what we did in 4 lines or 3 lines in the previous one. So what we know now is that numbers is going to be a list of integers. And I want to find the maximum. Well, how do I find the maximum? I'm going to use a utility variable like Codio told me, and I'm going to call that utility variable max, and I'm going to make it equal to 0. So now, again, it's telling me that I want to give it the index, not the actual value. So I'm going to use a for loop again, and my for loop is going to say for, I'm just going to use index in range 0. Now here's where I want to use the length again of numbers. Okay, I'm going to hit my colon, and now I have another if statement. I'm going to say if numbers of index is greater than max, let's get that right, then it's going to be max equals index, because I don't want the element, I want the index. And I'm not going to break here because I need to go through every element in the list to make sure that I get the maximum. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to print, whoops, make sure it's all less justified. I'm just going to print, and I'm going to print max. So let's see how we do here. Okay, I have a problem. It expected 4 and I got 5. Okay, so I did that wrong. Now what did Lisa do wrong this time? Well, this is a common problem, and instead I said max equal index. Well, I really wanted to say max equals, okay, what I really wanted to do is I want to say I'm going to have 2 utility variables. I'm going to have to say max index, and that's going to be 0, and I'm going to have max. So if numbers of index is greater than max, max becomes the value and max index becomes index. And I'm going to print max index. Oops, what did I do wrong? Max number is not defined. Numbers, my bad. This is where you got to get your variable names right. And this is correct. So in this case, even though Codio said I needed to use a utility variable to store the maximum value and a decision to see if each number is bigger, we really needed to do that in 2 utility variables. So in this case, I decided to use 2 utility variables, max and max index. What I'm really after is the index for the maximum number. So I have an if statement that checks to see if the element in the list is bigger than the last maximum. And if it is, then I say my maximum is the element in the list. And then I say the index, the max index, is going to be equal to the index. And that way, at the end, I have the max index. So this has been a short tutorial on finding the maximum index, the index number of the maximum value in a list.